Fridge entry day 169. I got a refund on my Uber account. And that's when I found out that my Uber had given me COVID. But I already knew I was positive before I got the text. I had symptoms, had been tested, and got the results before I got the text message from the health department. Were you riding in an Uber in this area at this time of the day? If so, you should get tested immediately because someone in your Uber has tested positive for COVID-19. I assumed it was the driver, but maybe it was another passenger. The text said, your Uber gave you COVID. And then I gave it to my bandmate. We were traveling to a gig in Brisbane. So the Uber to the airport gave it to me and I gave it to my bandmate. See, my bandmates and I were in Brizzy together for about 24 hours. This was at a festival, before any of the lockdown laws had come into place. I remember people were just starting to practice social distancing at that festival. But it was still all very new, this kind of behavioral change. I remember going to shake hands with one of the stage managers and he was like, oh no, we're not doing that anymore. And I was kind of stunned, but like, okay, yeah, sure. This was at the beginning of it all. I don't know when I gave it to my bandmate. Maybe it was at the gig, or when we grabbed a meal, or even when we were sitting on the plane together. I didn't show symptoms straight away, so I had no idea I had it at the time I was contagious. To be honest, COVID was a fairly underwhelming condition for me. I had a cough for about 7 days, and that's about it. For me, it wasn't this really intense condition. When I had it, because it was early days, there wasn't all this doom and gloom that's surrounding it now. Now, so many people have died from it. It feels like a different beast now to when I had it. The main thing we had to deal with was being locked indoors. At one point, I didn't leave the apartment for 4 weeks. This one time, I took the bins out. But apart from that, I didn't go outside the walls of the apartment, which is pretty weird. The most frustrating thing is not being able to take our little boy out to the parks. He'd be looking at us thinking, why aren't you taking me outside? He'd get really upset about not going out. He'd bring us his shoes, trying to urge us to take him outside. That was one of the hardest things. At first I was worried about giving it to him and Cassie. But by the time the symptoms showed and I'd been tested, well, we live in a 2-bedroom apartment with a toddler. We tried to social distance for about 2 days. But we realized that we couldn't do that successfully. We were supposed to do it for 2 weeks. We'd already been hanging out together, you know. We both came to the decision that it was crazy to try and live separate lives in a 2-bedroom unit. During the long lockdown, we've certainly been missing all those things that were commonplace before. Music is a big part of my life. It's my job, and I haven't done that in a meaningful way since March. And who knows when that will come back into my life. Maybe at the end of the year or later. It's so hard to know right now. But it has given me a renewed realization of what is my job and my passion. And we're really missing all the simple things in life. Like going out for dinner, shaking hands, hugging friends. I really miss that touch, that connection. When we were given the all clear, I remember my mum came over and she gave me the biggest hug. She started crying. She said, this is the first hug I've had in 2 months. It really made me realize how much I've missed that and how important that connection is in our lives. But what I'd really like to do, what I can't wait to do, is to do a really loud gig with a crowd pumped. I really miss that. The loudness, the feeling, the energy, the buzz, the connection. I just want it back.